Okay.
Go ahead. So first of all, thank you very much for creating this space. Thank you, Rocio. Thank you, Markus. Because I think it's a good opportunity to have a new experiences. And I want to say in general, it was a very good experience for me. Before I come here, I start preparing myself for this event, and I get the 4:20 fast, and it was quite good for me because I was plenty of fear, but when I can see that I can get that limit, so it was the level of fear reduced, and then I come here more confident, more happy. Today is my third day try, so for me it's wow, great. It's emotional for me. It's wow, fantastic thing. Also the masterclass, very good information, and the thing that for me is very important is I am tired of the old paradigm, slave paradigm, and now this is the opportunity to start with a new paradigm with people like Markus, who with his experience, and to be here with a person who can demonstrate that the need to eat, drink, to live. You see, wow, that's the point. And also to have a direct connection with the true consciousness, because I feel that always, but in the past, but I never know who is that. So then when I saw the videos of Markus, I said, wow, that's right away. And I'm so happy to be here. Also, I'm very tired because my body is adapting and I feel quite weak. However, this is the opportunity to pushing boundaries. And today, I decided to go to swim in the sea, and I was revitalizing a lot. It was amazing, and I have seen my mind in a very different ways. I have seen the thoughts, but no emotions, and it was quite new and quite interesting. It was also so difficult to sleep, and I have seen and I have feel experience with a lot of synchronicities, which is amazing. It's good. I feel this like a nice experience and a good gift, and I feel it's good. So thank you everyone, and thank you, Markus.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah? Thank you.
Okay, so for me it was, I think, my first retreat ever, and I was really happy to first of all be surrounded by people who don't think that the whole idea is is crazy, and this was very good because normally I'm surrounded by people who always think that I have some stupid ideas. And also I really loved to listen to Markus in person, because even though that I've listened to your book and I've listened to you online, it wasn't getting to me the same way as sitting in this room and feeling all of this energy. And I think it was the energy of Markus, the energy of all of us, that we were just soaking up some very valuable information for us to literally wake up and do something good for ourselves for the first time in our lives. And that's how I saw this, because I've been fasting before, but I've never thought about like switch off my phone, to not check the weather, not check the time, to be in silent. This was something very new to me, very difficult. I've reached the point of literally realizing what the homework that Markus gave us, which was very tough, was not easy, but I'm so extremely grateful for this, because it wouldn't have happened at home when I was doing dry fasting by myself. It was not the fasting, actually. The fasting was like a small component, which was probably the easiest one of the whole retreat. It's like, oh, we're on a fasting retreat. No, this was the retreat of listening to ourselves, and that was the huge homework that at the beginning I felt that it's impossible, but eventually it happened, and I actually feel I feel more compelled to listen more to myself. It wasn't very pleasant, and many of those things that I've heard, that I've realized about myself, there's a lot of work. It's it's an ongoing, huge project, but I'm so happy that I started, and I'm very grateful, and I was so happy that I did it with all of you guys, because I felt safe, I felt good, that someone told me just don't talk, because I love talking, and because I stopped talking, it made the space for me to hear myself, and for the first time to realize that I'm actually not the biggest fan of myself, and I don't love myself the way that I should, and and it's a huge thing, and I also swam in a very cold water, and I've done a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have done if I just stayed this week back in Norway. So yeah, I'm forever grateful, and I feel that this is just I just made like the first maybe one small tiny step on the journey, and I'm not sure exactly where this path leads, but I know that I want to take this path, and I want to take more steps, and for sure I would be paying, I know what to pay more attention to right now, because I always liked fasting, but now I know that there are also other things really important to have peace, and to be more observant, and to have this sense of calm that can only be achieved when you literally take the noise part out of your life. And I think that I've been living with tons of distractions, so I feel that I'm very grateful for all of the lessons from this retreat. Wasn't easy, but I'm happy that I was here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Markus, and thank you, Rocio, and you guys rock, and you're awesome, and yeah, it was, and the place, the scenery, the silence, oh, so wonderful, and the smells, and the roses, and the sea, yeah, it was all very, it was something that, because I was in silence, because I didn't have other things going on in my life, I was more sensitive, and it's not the same sensitivity that I've been having before when I was fasting, but I still had a fair share of distractions. I know I learned how to be more at peace with myself. Yeah, that's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Markus, for hosting. Thank you, Rocio, for organizing. Markus, I think what you've tried to do this week is extremely difficult. Try and describe, paradoxes, and how to describe, how to not do anything is sort of impossible in ways. But I really liked how you've laid it out, And I was thinking about that. You know, you've mentioned, why do people overconsume? Well, you know, people are in pain and they're looking for soothing and comfort, and they feel out of love. But they feel those things because they polluted their body. So you have this loop that's self-sustaining and becomes a paradox, because how do you try not to do anything? You can't try not to do anything. So we're trying to describe something that's a paradox, and it's almost inherently impossible to describe, but we still try. Which is why I think it's hilarious that one of the first lines in your book says, "Don't read this book." It's amazing. And then you repeat that, which is hilarious. And one of my favorite lines through skimming it was, I think, "Do nothing, believe nothing, trust no one, least of all you," which is hilarious. And I love that. And I was trying to think, well, is there anything that we can use as a guide? And I really liked how you maybe just highlighted how some truths are just very, very simple, like how there's this tension between maybe feeling overwhelmed by life versus accepting detoxing, because I think maybe a lot of us have spent our lives feeling overwhelmed, and when that happens, you can reach a certain point where your body is so painful and your thoughts are so polluted and your emotions are so dark. At a certain point, you just say, either I'm broken or life is broken. Either way, it's not fair and it shouldn't be this way. And so I feel overwhelmed, so I'm going to treat myself. And that seems like a gift to yourself, because if it really is that hard, it seems like that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to love yourself, not torture yourself. And so if life reaches a certain point where you get overwhelmed, it only makes sense that you're going to apply some softness to yourself, but then you're stuck in this loop and it just gets worse and worse, whether that's over consuming food or drugs or alcohol or anything. And so that seems completely reasonable, but it's super destructive. So I liked how you highlighted it by saying it's just this simple confusion between, you know, are you feeling overwhelmed, which is more of a victim mentality where it's life is happening to me. So you're not in control of that. You know, we're not in control of the external circumstances and how people treat us directly. Indirectly, we influence that, but not directly. So if you're not looking at life like you're in control of it, then of course you're going to get overwhelmed and then just try and be soft to yourself. But if you can look at life like your pain is this detoxing, which is a very simple idea, but if you can do that, then now you're back in control, because we're able to control whether or not we tolerate a process of clearing, a process of detoxing. Now we're back holding the steering wheel saying, well, how much can I tolerate of allowing this pain and these emotions and these thoughts to slowly clear and cleanse? And being in that position of empowerment, you know, it's a very simple idea, but then that allows us to let things clear. Whereas if we're not in power, if we're not in the driver's seat and everything's happening to us, how could you blame anyone for trying to be kind to themselves? And you can't. It makes total sense. It's the logical thing to do, and it's really tragic. But you know, I think that's where groups like this are so helpful, because you know, when you're alone, if you've been isolated for a while, weeks, months, years, that's very overwhelming, and it makes total sense. You be soft to yourself. But if you're in a group, you're surrounded by people inspiring each other. You know, everyone's accepting that we're going to let life unfold and inspiring each other, and then you see other people being strong, and it's sort of allowing ourselves to learn how to feel again is a beautiful thing. And so I think some people thrive on their own, but for some people these containers are really, really helpful. So thank you so much for providing.
Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you.
Thank you.
We want to talk, but somehow you also giving. And I think for me, I joined this retreat because it's the only training person who is talking not just about eating or not eating, but it's more people. And I think that's the only thing that makes sense for me. It's just that eating with ego or not eating with ego doesn't get you anywhere. And I'm very grateful we touched this subject, and you insisted, I think, even more than last year. and I think I'm very grateful because I think that's the only way to go into this subject. And also I would like to encourage everyone to remember not just about calculating what you're drinking or eating in the next weeks or month, but also remembering exactly all the teaching you had this week about the ego and what all the things starts actually. And that's I think that's really the very unique teaching we have in all these things available online or offline or whatever. And I'm very, very grateful you highlighting that, because nobody did, and that's the only thing that's actually needed to be said. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope everybody don't get lost in calculating too much about the food and the drinks, and just remember what is the essence of the teaching behind it. Thank you.
Yeah,